stage. I've been at the podium for a while these couple of days, so I get the reward of having 3 in-person panelists, so that's great. We have a few questions from online audience, but anybody in the room to begin with? Yeah. Come on over, you can. Yeah.
I think it's really important to keep in mind that a difference between the 2 types of data sets is going to be the metadata of the simulation. And you touched on that in the bullets, but I didn't see that in the setup of that Salim described. You're going to have to explain what the frequency resolution is of the simulation, what the velocity cutoff is of the simulation, and so forth. So I would encourage you to think about where that fits in the context of the website, because that's going to be really important, and it's different than what you've done up to this point in time with measured motions.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We didn't go through all the details of that, but the goal is to try to make it look as much as possible, but it will not be identical because it's just two different things. So.
And we actually put it in the flat file if you want to show it there.
Which one?
You go back to slide. Go back to the first one. This one.
Yeah, this
22.
Here, it was kind of small, so basically, it's hard to read it. So basically, these are the simulation parameters in the flat file. So yeah, it's really small because it was hard to put this in the slide. So we have it in the flat file.
Okay. Any other? Yeah, there is a question. Please come on over right here. You can ask your question. Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you mainly for the database again. How are you planning on dealing with the updates in the simulations? For example, you're going to have from Arben better Rapture simulators. You're going to improve your velocity model at some point. You're going to have a new set. How are you going to deal with that in the database? Because you showed the example of Loma Prieta earthquake. That recording will stay there forever. But what about the new ones? Are you going to update the existing ones? Are you going to keep adding to the database?
That's a great question. One of the things that we made sure that the specifications of the server is fast communication with the Lawrence Berkeley Lab team. So if there is an update, we are planning to update our data set as well. If it's a new data set that needs to be augmented, we should have a mechanism to do that. So if it's a new data set, will be added. If it's a replacement, we'll replace the existing one.
And you don't see any conflict or implication if some of these ground motions are going to be used for design, and after 5 years, the same ground motions are going to be revised or corrected, or they're going to be different somehow, and they may, introduce some kind of debate about that.
That's very important. That's why we have all the activities of the acceptance criteria, and hopefully what will go into the database is what passes the acceptance criteria. So we are going to make sure to continue communicating with Florianas, because it just won't make sense to keep updating or correct. In that case, it's not updating, it's correcting the data. Hopefully, we won't need to do that. If it is the case, we just have to put a disclaimer that there is a possibility for the models to be corrected, but I hope that will not be something to do on weekly basis. Otherwise, the engineering community won't trust us if that's the case. Yeah. So we just have to be very careful with what we put there, that they pass the acceptance criteria. I don't know if you want to add something.
Yeah, we're going to add something.
Floriana, come on to the stage.
Just a quick comment.
Or if you want to talk to you directly.
Yeah, so it was a great comment and just fully understandable. And I think it's something that is important is to be with the metadata very transparent. about what we observe when we assess these ground motions. As I briefly mentioned, we don't necessarily expecting these ground motions going to check all the box in terms of metrics we verify and we validate. And so I think one of the, especially at the beginning, one of the main objectives of the metadata will be also to provide a transparent and clear explanation of what the limitations of these ground motions can potentially be. So.
Thank you guys for the talk. This is wonderful. In the same vein as Andreas was bringing up, with regards to quality of data and I guess data integrity, you guys, is the flat file going to be generated based on a relational database format, or is this going to be from a format of it just compiles it based on a stack of information? So, and the reason I bring it up is because if things are changing and it's dynamic, as you say, right, it might be better to have a relational format such that you only have to update certain things and there are certain keys that stay consistent. Because if the metadata changes or the frequency changes, maybe you're not correct in the ground motion. Maybe you have a version 2 of the ground motion, and that version 2 is tagged in the relational database. So if you want to go back and look at version 1 and compare to version 2, you can do that. So is that a plan, or is that something that's being implemented for a relational database?
I think this is a great idea, and that's the kind of input we expect to get from people like you. But in the same vein, as long as we are being transparent of explaining exactly what's in the database, so then any updates may only target one aspect of this metadata, not everything. A model get updated, then we explain clearly this data set is based on that model, that data set is based on version 2. So we heard from USGS, there is 21.1 version and there is 24. So we expect something like that too, because that's the nature of this data set. It's based on a model, and models are meant to be updated. Whether a new model need to wipe up all the previous version, I hope not. I hope only certain aspects will only change, or a small subset of the data will get updated at a certain depth, because we saw at a certain depth things do not matter. It's not as sensitive, but for the shallow motion or something, that part may get updated, but not the entire data set. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, and I think we'll try to communicate all those changes in the flat files with the parameters associated with the realizations, so that users will have the information of what they are downloading.
Yeah, we'll discuss the relational database a lot more.
Okay, all of this ground motion simulation, everything is nice, but I want to ask a dumb question here. Is there any way to detect a big earthquake happening? I mean, can we detect how the tectonic plates move and detect it? And that would be really useful in saving lives. Is that something impossible, or? Yeah, prediction based on tectonic plates, how they move, maybe have some sensors. More of a prediction of the earthquake, and then you can really say, okay, this is the epicenter, this is a 7.5 earthquake happening.
Evacuate in the room, so I wouldn't even start opening my mouth about this.
You want to come over? You need a microphone? Yeah,
Actually,
the answer is no. First of all, no, but physically, what is happening is that we nowadays have early detection systems, but we don't know the size of the resultant earthquake. We can detect in seconds, and nowadays with several AI algorithms, the location, and even focal mechanism and these details of the nucleation. But we don't know how long this nucleation will continue, and we start to propagate into a pulse and continue into the system. So, and still it is a question that is in the science level. So of course we cannot provide answers like that. No? So.
Okay. Thank you.
Statistically, we could, but not,
Not
not,
exactly.
not with this level of accuracy, of making forecasting. Not that, oh, in 5 minutes we will have a, no yet. No
Thank
yet.
you, Camilla.
Aminat, can
There
I
is a
mention
question from Scott Callahan for Haugen. Have you investigated the impact of 100 times compression on data products derived from seismograms, such as durations or spectra?
Our team members have investigated how the lossy compression impacts the ground motions, and we have tried the different thresholds or the different accuracy modes, and in the end, we found that the accuracy mode we are currently using, e to the -2, is good enough for our the current use cases that we are using, like the building simulations, and they do not significantly change the ground motions after decompressing them.
Okay, thank you. Vladimir Grazer has a question about NGA West 3. If we want to comment on that, are we planning to coordinate or integrate with them?
No comment.
No, okay. Okay. Brad Agard has a question. Okay. Yeah. There was no comment or no coordination at the moment. Yeah. Brad has a question. How will peer interface for synthetic motions convey to users differences between realizations? Will there be a link to detailed information about each realization?
Yeah, that is.
We'll have a description of the rupture generator for each one.
Yeah, we are planning to provide that information in the flat file currently, so that's the plan.
Okay. And Brad has a.
Using the version of the velocity model and also the rupture generator.
Okay.
It's going to be in the flat file.
Okay. Great. And Brad has another comment, which is in addition to grid locations, he suggests providing time histories for at locations of all existing seismic stations in the simulation domain. So,
That's a very good suggestion.
okay, that's a great suggestion, Brad. Thank you. Yeah, that's the end of online questions. Any more? We have a minute or two. Anybody else? Any questions? Okay, great. We have some cookies. Let's take a 10-minute break and come back for.
Close out and have the cookies after.
We can
I think we
close.
could. Yeah, I think you covered a lot of the critical elements. No reason to wait till after the break.
The only thing I would ask is their interest to have this as an annual event. That's my question to the audience.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
Yeah, I would like to ask it, I don't know, not putting you on the spot, Joe, I don't know if you
Oh.
would make any final comments, short comments or not, it's your call.
yeah, please.
Looks like a few people stepped out.
Yes.
Should we do the 10-minute break?
Yeah, we'll continue, I think. We should continue.
We should continue.
I just want to say thank you for having me. Dave, Howard, thank you guys. I appreciate all the presentations that everyone's given over the last 2 days. I've learned a tremendous amount about earthquakes, more than I thought I would ever learn. I'm looking forward to continuing to help fund a lot of this research. I see tremendous amount of value and merit in the development of this ground motion database. I think that, you know, a lot of the presentations touched on a lot of the benefits for it, you know, future planning, impacts to infrastructure, and, you know, in my region, well, response to those impacts. So I see a tremendous amount of benefit and value in the work that you all have been doing. So I just want to say thank you for all the work that you've been doing, and looking forward to continuing.
Well, thank you very much. It's very refreshing to know that. So if there are no comments, we can adjourn, and as Amarnath said, we have cookies, and you can take some on your way out, or you can stay and mingle a little longer. So,
Great. Thanks,
yeah.
Peer.
Thank you. Thank you. Should I make an announcement? Yep. For those who are online, thank you very much for staying and for all your input. So this concludes our two-day workshop, and please stay tuned with our website and social media for future announcement about this simulated ground motion database, so we can solicit your input. Thank you.